Okay, confession time, I'm obsessed with Lorcana. The entire team is. We cannot stop playing. At night, I lie awake thinking of combinations of Mulan and Mother Gothel. So, as it's all we can talk about, myself and everyone else on the team has been diving into the nitty-gritty, pulling out the very best cards to help you start mastering the trading card game, or even just getting ready for your very first one. As a quick intro for those who don't know, Lorcana is Disney's new trading card game. It sees players face off in games of 2 or up to 6 as they race to collect 20 lore by playing characters and boosting them with songs and items from all your favourite films. We have a whole video on the basics of how to play and read cards on the channel if you're just starting out, but if you're looking to take the next steps, then stick around. So, I'm Maddie from Dicebreaker, and this is the best of the best in Disney's Lorcana. Han's 13th in line is a fantastically annoying card that I am always waiting to show up when I play Steel. He's a perfect solution to the annoying question of whether to challenge or quest on a turn. He costs 4 ink, which is achievable early game, so you can quickly get him out, and he can quest for 2 lore each turn. But the best part though is his Stage a Little Accident ability. Every time you go on a quest, you can deal 1 damage to an opposing character. That is every single time. 1 damage can kill smaller characters or chip away at bigger ones, helping you clear the opponent's board while still bringing in the precious lore you desperately need. Plus, with 3 strength and 3 willpower, taking him out costs your opponents, as that can nearly kill a lot of characters in the game. He may have been a villain in Frozen, but in Lorcana, he's never gonna let you down. Okay, not only does she have some of the best art in the game, Tinkerbell Giant Fairy is also an amazing card. As far as costly Steel options go, she's the one to grab. Tinkerbell may set you back a whole 6 ink, but compared to other expensive cards, she's a steal. And I'm not just talking about the colour there. Firstly, she has the shift ability, so you can place her on top of Tinkerbell Tiny Tactician in Steel, who is adorable, or any of the other Tinks in other colours. That means you can bring out your Giant Fairy for just 4 ink instead. And once you do, her Rock the Boat ability triggers, that deals 1 damage to each opposing character. Even 1 damage can really turn the game if it comes out when you need it most. Once she's out, she can quest for 2 lore, which is a nice bonus, or if you choose to challenge, you get her relatively hefty stats of 4 strength and 5 willpower, as well as her puny pirate ability. If she banishes a character, she also deals 2 damage to another opposing one. That means even exerted ones. I've managed to kill off a couple of characters with this ability at a time, so it can very much turn the tide in your favour when you need it most. 10 out of 10 would be drowned by this fairy again. Belle Strange But Special is an absolute no-brainer for any deck touting Sapphire and its speciality of getting ink into your inkwell as fast as possible. At only 4 ink to put down and with a decent 4 willpower to keep her on the board in the early game, the benefits of her inclusion in your deck far outweigh the costs. With her Read a Book ability, Belle allows you to double the amount of cards you can play into your inkwell each turn. That's a huge amount of ramp for such little costs, provided you can keep her on the board. And you'll want her to last the game as well, because with her My Favourite Part ability, you'll be able to turn ramp into value, as she'll start questing for an enormous 5 lore, as long as you have 10 or more ink in your inkwell. If she wasn't so difficult to get your hands on, Belle is a must-have for anyone looking to play big characters as early as possible to overwhelm your opponent. Never turn down a character that will also do the work of an action for you when they're played. 7 ink might seem a lot for a 3/6 that quests for 2, but when Hades' Infernal Schemer hits the board, you can put an opposing character face down into that opponent's inkwell thanks to his Is There a Downside to This ability. On the face of things, this might seem like a worse version of cards like Dragonfire, but bear in mind that this ability does not use the word banish in its text, which means that any characters that have banish triggers won't take effect. And as the card is placed into the opponent's inkwell, you're safe from any cards that will recur them from the graveyard and get them back into play. They're gone for good. Not to mention that once your removal is done, you've got a decent character to boot. Ruby's biggest draw is its ability to get the best of both worlds with its characters, which allow you to earn lore for taking part in challenges. Why pick one when you can have both? With Mulan Imperial Soldier, a 5-cost 4/5 that quests for 1, the name of the game is banishing enemy characters so that you can trigger her absolutely game-changing ability, Lead by Example. This allows Mulan to up the lore value of every other character on your board when she takes out another character in a challenge. With a big enough board state, this can go from a middling amount of lore to game-winning amounts very quickly. If you think Mulan's ability to turn challenges into lore-building opportunities is good, then wait till you see Aladdin Heroic Outlaw. A character that not only earns you 2 lore for banishing an opposing character with his challenges, but also reduces the opponent's lore count by 2 as well, using his Daring Exploit ability. At 5/5, he's no pushover, and letting your opponent keep one of these Aladdins on the board can very quickly turn the tides of a game in their favour. Not to mention that his shift ability allows you to get him out for even cheaper, and maybe even use him on the turn he's played if the Aladdin you shifted him onto was already ready to roll. Terrifying. He's a favourite in the starter decks, at tea parties, and now in custom decks myself and the team have been building. Mad Hatter Gracious Host is another fantastic annoying card. He costs 5 lore, so you need to build little before getting him out, but when you do, any opponent is going to sigh. Not only can he quest for 3 lore every time, his tea party ability can keep him safe while doing it. Whenever Mad Hatter is challenged, you get to draw a card. This means that opponents generally want to kill him in 1 hit, otherwise you get to nicely build up your hand. Card draw is often the biggest hindrance in Lorcana games, so a chance to gain more cards and also have a solid quester on the table is a great combo. His strength is only 2, as you're unlikely to be going to challenge much with him, but it's still a nice bite back when he's on the defensive. Plus, his willpower is 4, so it takes a decently strong character to bring him down in one go. And even if they do, you still get to draw a free card out of it. What a tea party. Now for the big card. Genie Powers Unleashed may cost a whopping 8 ink, but once he's on the table, he definitely feels worth it. He does have the shift ability too, so if you've got the Genie the Ever Impressive on the board, you can bring the cost down to 6 ink instead. He can quest for 3 lore every turn, which can very quickly add up with your other characters in the late game. Plus, with that evasive keyword, he's much harder to challenge, meaning he can become really annoying for your opponents. Even if they also have evasive and come after him, they have to get through 5 willpower, which will likely take a couple of hits. Plus, 3 strength means he has a pretty nasty hitback, so an opponent is probably going to sacrifice 1 or 2 characters just to get him off the board. But that is not it. He also has a little ability called Phenomenal Cosmic Power, which means that whenever he quests, you can play an action with cost 5 or less for free. Free! Emerald has some really powerful actions, so fill your deck with those, get the Genie out, and the game is basically yours. When picking smaller cards for an Amber deck, you can't go wrong with Ariel Spectacular Singer. This Little Mermaid only costs 3, but also has the Singer keyword, which allows her to sing songs with the higher cost of up to 5. Then she's a 3/5 who can quest for 1 lore each turn, which are decent stats if you're looking to challenge early in a game. But it's her musical debut ability that really makes her shine like a dinglehopper. When you play Ariel, you get to look at the top 4 cards of your deck, reveal a song from among them, and put them in your hand, placing the rest at the bottom in any order. Being able to control what cards you get is really helpful, especially early on, and getting the right song at the right time could really change the pace of a game. Plus, if you get a high cost one, you can easily sing it next turn once her ink is dry. She's a great little card, proving Under the Sea is definitely the place to be. Once again, we could have picked this card for the art alone, but Stitch Rockstar is also a fantastic card to add to any Amber deck. He starts off as 6 ink, but also has the shift ability, so can be played on top of any smaller Stitches, with some in Amber only costing 1 to get out, which brings your Rockstar's cost down to just 4 ink. He's also a 3/5, making him a decently powerful character in a challenge, but mostly it's his ability to look out for. Adoring Fans means that whenever you play a character that costs 2 or less, you can exert them to draw a card. This means that you're getting some serious use out of these characters when their ink hasn't even dried yet. You could build a tiny army around Stitch, and there are some great low-cost characters in Amber that cost 1, like Lilo, that get you 2 lore every turn. Plus, Rockstar Stitch himself quests for 3 lore every turn, so if you shift and get him out early, he can quickly get your points up. Consider us Adoring Fans. With this being the first set of Lorcana ever released, there's slim pickings right now for the card game staples that make your average deck tick. Removal, returning cards from your discard, and ramping your ink are all massively helpful, but they're spread out across the multiple ink colors. If there's one thing that Amethyst does better than any of the other colors, it's drawing cards, and most would argue that's literally the most important thing you can do in a card game. The Queen, Wicked and Vain is a fantastic card draw engine, allowing you to exert her every turn to draw a new card for your hand. Combined with a solid 4/5 once you've had your fill of card draw, she'll hold up perfectly well in challenges too. You'll also notice that all the readier character effects in Lorcana only specify that you can't quest with them, meaning she could potentially be getting you 2 cards a turn when combined with items like the Shield of Virtue that we'll be bringing up later. There's a lot of big, expensive cards in Lorcana's first set that can win games when they hit the board. In fact, it was a struggle not to put Dr. Facilier, Agent Provocateur, as our pick with his amazing character protecting ability. But when it comes to finishing a game, no one does it better than Elsa, Spirit of Winter. Not only does she match the stats of Facilier with a slightly higher 6 willpower and that juicy 3 lore when she quests, not only can she be shifted onto the board, but when Elsa is played, you can exert up to 2 enemy characters and force them to not ready up on your opponent's next turn. This can absolutely destroy some players in the late game where all it takes is 1 slip for a player to run away with it, and can deny combos, protect your other characters, and also just freeze a couple of your opponent's biggest questers for a turn to allow you to storm ahead. Not to mention, it'll allow your characters to challenge those now exerted enemies if they were hiding in the ready position. Trust me when I say that 1 damage can be the difference between life or death in a lot of situations in Lorcana. With damage being persistent between rounds, there's so many opportunities to whittle down or finish off your opponent's big cards with Steel's Plasma Blaster. It'll cost you 2 ink to activate its 1 damage ability, but in the late game you'll be very glad of its presence when that 1 damage will allow you to finish off something horrible like a Dr. Facilier or an evasive card that you just can't seem to shift. At the end of the day, generating lore is the name of the game. So when you put down a character that can generate a ton of lore in 1 quest, it very quickly becomes a target for your opponent to remove. With the Eye of the Fates, you can shore up some of your lore production by moving over to your items, cards that are much harder to get rid of with the current tools available in Chapter 1. Tapping the Eye of the Fates will give one of your characters +1 lore for the rest of the turn. So as long as you have just 1 character out, you've got access to lore production that can't be targeted with Dragonfire removal or the Be Prepared board wipe. Sneaky. Easily one of the most powerful items in the entire set right now, Shield of Virtue is cheap to play and looks relatively unassuming at just 1 ink. But by paying 3 and tapping the shield, you can re-ready your characters after they've been exerted. Whilst they won't be able to quest after the shield has readied them, there's a massive amount of synergies this will unlock. Characters can quest and challenge in the same turn, activate their tap abilities twice in one go, or even just be protected from challenges your opponent might otherwise swing at you by keeping them in a ready position. With multiple shields on the board, one character can do an ungodly amount of damage, provided they can survive between attacks. Emerald definitely isn't the color to pick if you're excited about items, because it has a pretty paltry offering. Of the 2 available, Dr. Facilier's cards is our pick, allowing you to do a little bit of ramping in a color that doesn't get ink down very fast. Tap it to pay 1 less ink for the next action you play, which in Emerald is a decent proposition. Amber has a few good items, but the very best has got to be the Dingle Hopper. It only costs 1, so you can easily get it on the board as an afterthought when playing other characters, or on the first turn if you happen to have a good starting hand. And it sticks around as a free heal whenever you need it. It may only remove 1 damage when you exert, but as we've said before, 1 point can be the difference between winning and losing in Lorcana. A point could be the thing that saves a character from being banished, and it's an incentive to challenge, as you always know you have a trusty Dingle Hopper to heal you up when you need it. Hey, wouldn't it be nice if you could use those massive stompy characters you've played on the turn you've played them? Most characters don't have Rush for a reason. It's a powerful keyword that can turn your characters into effectively a removal action. But with the White Rabbit's Pocket Watch, you can pay 1 ink and tap to give any character on the board Rush. Maybe that quester wasn't quite as safe as you thought it was, buddy. Dealing damage without having to challenge a character and risk losing yours, or getting to add those couple of extra points to bring down a tough competitor, is always desirable in Lorcana, and you can't get much better at it than Fire the Cannons. It costs just 1 ink and deals 2 damage to any chosen character. That can kill off small characters in the early game, or be the thing that finally finishes off someone big. Plus, if you play a Hook, Captain of the Jolly Roger, you can return Fire the Cannons from your discard pile back to your hand, getting to deal damage all over again. That's a lovely combo you can keep spamming if you have a couple of each in your deck. Once again, card draw reigns supreme. Develop Your Brain allows you to look at the top 2 cards of your deck, put 1 into your hand and the other at the bottom of your deck, all for just 1 ink. That's incredibly helpful at any point in the game, as one specific card can really change play. If your hand isn't looking great at the start of the turn and you pull this, you might get the exact thing you needed. Or if you have some leftover ink at the end of a turn, why not make the most of it and grab another card? There was only one choice for Ruby, and that's Dragonfire. For 5 ink, you can banish a chosen character. Getting rid of a powerful, annoying card is incredibly helpful, and while it may be costly, by the time you're ready to banish someone, it will likely be late game anyway. Whether it's a tough challenger you need to be rid of, or someone getting just too much lore, it always feels great to see them gone. The only downside is that this card can't be inked, but really, this is one you'll want to keep hold of anyway. If there's one thing that's better than getting more lore for yourself, it's taking it away from your opponent. Steal from the Rich as an action is the very best way you can do this. It's another pricey one at 5 lore, but the ability means that whenever one of your characters quests that turn, each opponent loses 1 lore. So if you have 5 characters questing, that opponent would lose 5 lore. Bringing this out at the prime moment when you have a lot of characters down can really tilt the scales in your favor. Plus, if you have a Genie Powers Unleashed out, you can do it free with his ability. Just a great card all around. Just in Time is a sneaky card that can take players off guard from the get-go. Amber does really well at getting low-cost characters out quickly, but with Just in Time, you can quickly get ahead by playing a 4 or 5 cost character for just 3 ink. It's pretty self-explanatory. Having a Mulan, Mad Hatter, or Moana out on turn 3? Too good to pass. Befuddle might seem like a pretty unsuspecting action, returning a 2 cost or less character to your hand for 1 ink. But as an early gameplay, it can be a really useful way of halting your opponent's momentum. Did they spend 2 ink on a Grandma Tala hoping to increase their inkwell? She's banished. Popping her back into their hand so they get no benefit for just 1 ink seems like a pretty good deal. You can also use it to replay any of your cheap characters that are damaged from a fight, or have some fun effects when you play them. Now, this song isn't always going to be useful, but when it is, you won't want to be singing anything else. For 5 ink, or with any character who can sing it for free, each player discards their hand and draws 7 cards. This is a great way to reset your hand if you're running out of cards. It can halt your opponents if they keep drawing annoying things, and finally, it can be a way to mill people to losing. As like other TCGs, you can also lose the game if you don't have any new cards to draw. It's not a strategy that's going to come up very often, but it is there, and no matter what, resetting your hand and getting 7 new cards mid-game is always going to feel great. Oh, you thought Dragonfire was good? What if for the same cost, you could not just remove a character from the board, but also make sure it didn't come from the discard pile either by turning it into ink? If that's not good enough for you, what if you could play it for free by singing as well? Let It Go is one of the best removal cards available right now, even if it ramps your opponent a little. The only board wipe in the entire game, Be Prepared, is definitely one of the cards establishing Ruby as one of the most dominant ink colors in the game's early stages. 7 ink is a steep cost, but it will banish every character on the board and reset the game if it's running away from you. Add that to the fact that you can do it after you've already used your characters, and that it's singable, and Be Prepared is a must-have for anyone playing Ruby. Continuing the removal train, Mother Knows Best is a really cheap way to disrupt your opponent's big plays. If they spent an entire turn's worth of ink getting out an 8-cost bomb card, they're going to be very upset when you exert one of your piddly little 3-cost characters and put it right back in their hand. Have fun playing it again, buddy. Amber is the go-to ink color if you value healing your characters, and nothing does it quite like Hakuna Matata. For just 4 ink, you'll remove up to 3 damage for every allied character on the board, allowing you to go right back into challenges or keep your characters safe from enemy attackers. If Amber is the color of damage removal, then it should be clear by now that no one card draws like an Amethyst player. When you spend just 3 ink to net yourself 2 cards and you can play it for free of charge with a singer, this is an absolute bargain for refilling your hand. So those are the best cards in Lorcana. Let us know in the comments what decks you've been building, and if you enjoy this video, please give it a like. For more videos on Lorcana, make sure to subscribe to the Dicebreaker channel and hit the bell icon. We'll keep you posted on any new updates and releases. You can also head to our website, dicebreaker.com, where we bring you news daily on all things in the tabletop world. Or head to dicebreaker.com/subscribe and you can support us while also receiving discounts on tickets to events like Comic-Con and PAX, as well as bonus content and even a free board game if you sign up for a year. But until the next time, enjoy deck building and have a lovely day.